Hey guys, it's Danny. Excuse my voice today, I'm a little sick. I was wondering when I'm gonna get sick because all winter long I was okay. Well, there we go. So in the weekend we did quite a few trips to IKEA to buy certain stuff for the apartment. And lucky me, I always check the flower department for something new and I kind of always find something worth buying. And no, it's not this one, although this beautiful orchid was purchased from IKEA as well. This is the full red Nelly Eiler, let's call her red velvet, that I see many of you are starting to find. So yes, it's a new variety this year, which is great. But this is not the orchid that I found, but it is something just as interesting. Ta-da! Behold! It is a Dendrobium Phalaenopsis. Now, a few videos ago I told you that IKEA usually brings the typical hybrids that we usually find in Europe, provided by Sanook, I believe, I suspect. And I also linked you to the Sanook website, so you have at least a commercial ID for the Dendrobium Phalaenopsis that you have. Now, apart from those dendrobiums, I really didn't see any other variety in the stores, let alone IKEA. But what do I find this weekend? There we go. Now, I do not have an ID for this orchid, which is so sad. If you guys have any idea, please let me know in the description below. I could not find this variety anywhere on the internet. Maybe I just didn't look right. So here we have a Dendrobium Phalaenopsis, and let me just show you the flower. It is huge. This is a splash petal dendrobium, and I think we kind of see a resemblance between this guy and the Dendrobium Enobi, which I really want to have. Little spoiler, I kind of have already. We're gonna do the mail video pretty soon. I just gather my stuff. Everything is in boxes, so I need to find my letters. It is not an exact copy or replica, but it absolutely reminds me of that dendrobium. The difference is the splashing on the petal. So let's just call it a splash petal dendrobium. We can see that the sepals are kind of almost white. The lower sepals are completely white, and the upper sepal has just the tiniest bit of pink stripes, but the petals, they're just the most beautiful pink. It's a soft pink actually, but pretty saturated, and a splash of white on the sides. Now, this is a little bit of a peloria. If you don't know this term or don't know about peloric orchids, I'll link you down below to a video that I made a while back about peloric orchids. Peloria is a mutation actually. It can be obtained by hybridizing or by cloning orchids. And in some cases, it is just so beautiful that it is kept, and that particular plant is replicated and cloned, so on. So in my eyes, this is a sort of a peloric Dendrobium Phalaenopsis. You can see the splash of white is present on the lip as well, so the petals are trying to take a little bit from the appearance of the lip. What's missing though is the yellow inside the petal. And I think I should scoot you in a little closer so we take a better look at the lip. Okay, this is a little better. The lip is a little bit fuzzy right here in the center. This is a pretty common trait with Dendrobium Phalaenopsis in general. Inside the lip there is this fuzzy formation, although if you touch it, it's not really soft and fuzzy, it just looks that way. And this trait is totally missing from the petals. The petals only have the pattern of color, so at this point I'm not entirely sure if it is a peloria trait or simple hybridizing luck, but they do resemble the lip, and overall it makes for this really beautiful, let's say, symmetry. Not to mention, the white sepals make such a great background canvas for the overall display. I am absolutely fascinated by this orchid. So as I was saying, I've never ever seen this type of dendrobium, nor did I see pictures. I did find some similar looking dendrobiums, but with totally different names. It's not like a variety and sub-varieties and so on. So finding out an ID for this one would be lovely. If it is a new hybrid, I really don't know. What strikes me is that IKEA has brought it. Out of all the garden centers and flower shops that I have around me, IKEA just prevailed. Now, a little tip, if you are looking for Dendrobium Phalaenopsis in general, not necessarily a variety per se, do check out IKEA. I see that they constantly bring dendrobiums, and not only the Phalaenopsis type, but the nobile type as well, and also the beautiful Baryota, which in my opinion is always worth the price. You can buy it even as a beginner, and it's also very fragrant, the Dendrobium Baryota. Now, this guy is not fragrant. Dendrobium Phalaenopsis in general do not possess a spectacular fragrance, nor are they known for their fragrance, but there are a few varieties which have a little fragrance. Sadly, this one, not so much. As for the orchid herself, pretty typical looking dendrobium, but I am noticing that it's not the big-leaved Dendrobium Phalaenopsis. I was talking about the foliage of these orchids in my Dendrobium Phalaenopsis collection. I'll link you down below so you see all of my Denphals at this point. I've never had so many. There are a few varieties which have very thick and rounded leaves, and then there are the varieties which have narrower leaves. All of them have very, very thick and stiff leaves. Now, as easy as Dendrobium Phalaenopsis are to care for, they do have a single major downside. They all require pretty bright light to thrive. And not only bright light, but warm temperatures as well. Now, the temperature thing might not be an issue if you're growing your orchids inside the house. If you're heating your room and you are comfortable, they will be pretty okay as well. But they shine in the summertime in warm temperatures in very bright light conditions. And I have a few Dendrobium Phalaenopsis that I purchased last summer. They were not in the best condition, but I tried to grow them under lights and they didn't really perform. Yes, they've grown, they created roots, they created new growths and nice leaves, but no bloom. In the past, I did keep my Dendrobium Phalaenopsis in quite the bright light. Of course, it was shaded by a sheer curtain, so not direct sunshine, which can burn them as well, but as much light as possible. So I'm drawing the conclusion that these types of orchids cannot be grown successfully, or actually cannot be bloomed successfully under artificial light. I'm not entirely sure about that. It would be great if you guys would share your experience with artificial light in these types of orchids in the description below, because as far as I know, these orchids really are not suited for artificial light conditions, at least when it comes to creating a nice bloom display. Other than that though, I really don't find these orchids hard to care for. I did have them as a beginner about 4 years ago. They're not fussy at all, they're quite hardy, but mind you, they are very, very prone to spider mites. Spider mites love the foliage. And the spider mite damage on Dendrobium Phalaenopsis is not pretty at all. They get a lot of dark spots on their leaves, the leaves fall, they're very sensitive to this type of damage. They don't really get the orchid flake virus that the Phalaenopsis orchids get from the spider mite, but the foliage just drops, it looks horrible. So be very careful when you buy Dendrobium Phalaenopsis. Inspect them as best as you can with a cotton ball or a cotton disc. Swipe the leaf and see if you see red dots. If you do, treatment right away, because they don't respond well to spider mites. I lost all of mine because of spider mites actually. So that was a little side note on Dendrobium Phalaenopsis in general. I absolutely adore them. I really like that this one is the big flowered Denphal. If you know, there are a few which have tiny little flowers, just as beautiful, but just with tiny flowers. I love the rounded shape of the petals, and this contrast right now kills me. It's absolutely beautiful. So this time of the year, if you have an IKEA nearby, do check it out, because they're bringing quite nice stuff. First there was the red velvet Nelly Eiler, now there's this. I've never seen this around. So if you're passing by IKEA, why not take a look? There's always a chance you will find something new. Alrighty guys, thank you so much and hope you've enjoyed this. If you have an idea, remember to let me know down below, or at least if you think it looks like something, do let me know. I might do some investigation, some detective work, at least to know part of the parentage of this orchid. It would be lovely, so I have what to recommend to other people who really do like this pattern. So if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe to my channel for daily orchids and plants videos, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. And with that said, I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye! It has begun. My Rachera Francis Fox is starting to open up her massive blooms. You don't see it right now, but they are quite big. A nice thing with this orchid is that the flower changes color depending on its age. But when we're gonna do the ID video for this orchid, I'll be sure to film some footage with the flowers as they age and as they change color. Cannot wait. Hopefully it's gonna be this month.